Hi, this is Mr. Lovell with another episode of Math Adds Up. We've been talking about transformations on the coordinate plane, taking a figure and doing something to it, either sliding it, turning it, flipping it, and the last thing we need to talk about is dilations, or dilating it. When we dilate a figure, we either enlarge it or we shrink it. When we talk about dilations, we talk about a scale factor. A scale factor tells us whether to enlarge the figure or to shrink it. If we have a whole number scale factor, like 2, 3, or 4, it's telling us to enlarge the figure. If we have a fraction scale figure, like 1/2, 1/3, 1/4, then we are shrinking the figure. So scale factor tells us whether to enlarge or shrink. Let's take a look at this figure and use a scale factor of 2. In this case, we're going to do the scale factor in relation to the origin. Now in class, we're going to talk about a couple of different ways to do this, but I want to focus on one way in this video. Let's take a look at our points and figure out the coordinates of each point. Here we have -2, -2, and we have 2, 3, -2, 3, excuse me, and here we have 0.23, and we have 2, -2. Now what we're going to do with a scale factor of 2 is I'm going to multiply each of my coordinates by 2. So when we look at this point down here at -2, -2, when I multiply both the x and the y coordinates by 2, I'm going to end up at -4, -4. So let's go ahead and put a new point here at -4, -4. Now let's take a look at this point, and we have -2, 3. Well, multiplying both of those by 2, I now have -4, 6. So I have a new point. And again, let's take a look over here. We have 2, 3, and when I multiply both my x and the y by 2, I'm now going to have 4, 6. And the same thing with the last point. When we take a look down here, multiply by 2, I'm now going to have 4, -4. When I increase my original figure by a scale factor of 2, this is what I end up with. Let's take a look at another example, this time using a scale factor of 1/2. Now, scale factor of 1/2 means we're going to shrink this figure, and it's going to work exactly the same way. I'm going to multiply each of my x, y coordinates by 1/2. And remember, multiplying by 1/2 and dividing by 2 is the same thing. So I have coordinates 2, 2, and I have coordinate 6, 2, and I have 2, 6. Now, again, I'm going to look at each coordinate, and here, the first one, we have coordinates 2, 2. If I divide both the x and the y by 2, I'm going to move to 1, 1. Looking at my next set, I have 0.26, and dividing both the x and the y by 2, I get 0.13. And for the last point in this triangle, I have 0.62. Dividing both the x and the y by 2, I'm going to get 3, 2. Here's my new figure drawn to a scale factor of 1/2. I hope this has been helpful figuring out what a dilation of a figure on the coordinate plane looks like. This has been Mr. Lovell with another episode of Math Adds Up.